With Season of the Deep, we got a brand new artifact. Now I'm going to go over what everything does in this one video. This season is heavily focused on Strand, Arc, and Void, and there are a lot of mods that go along with that. I really hope this info can help you all out, especially if you're starting to build craft some of these perks. And speaking of builds, I will have a ton coming out on my channel later down the line, so if you'd like to see those, be sure to stick around. I'm currently on the road to 40,000 subscribers, so if you enjoy this video or learn anything new, consider subscribing and dropping a like. This video took a long time to make, so every single bit of support from you all is truly appreciated. But without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Starting off, we have improved Unraveling, which says increases the amount of damage dealt by unraveling a target. So as you see here from this clip, the unravel is going to do 2,452 damage base with no artifact mod equipped. And then if we equip it, you see the damage goes to 2,697, which is a 6% increase. Now, as of recording this, I don't know if this is bugged because as you see, we get 3,290 damage every once in a while, which is around a 30% increase, which seems to be more like what the artifact perk should do. Now, our next perk is Deeper Origins, which just improves your origin traits for a bunch of the seasonal weapons currently. Not going to go into this one too much, but then right after that, we have Unto the Breach. So defeating a void debuff target creates a void breach while your void subclass is equipped. So this one's honestly really self-explanatory. It doesn't need that much of an explanation. You essentially are just going to be able to make void breaches every time you defeat an enemy that is weakened, volatile, or suppressed, because those are the void debuffs. Now this does have a small cooldown in between, but it doesn't seem to be too much, and as you see from the gameplay, I'm spawning them very quickly, back and forth, left and right, and this definitely will have some really cool build potential with void builds this season. Now, thing to note is that we already have a fragment called Echo Cessation, where when we defeat volatile targets, it creates a void breach, so this kind of works as the same way, so they can kind of go hand in hand together, but they definitely do not seem to stack because you can only make one void breach at a time. Overall, still a pretty cool perk. I definitely think it's worth trying out. Now, our next perk is Electric Armor, which should be amped up. These names right now are currently swapped, but they do actually still do the main benefits, but this is stay amplified longer while your arc subclass is equipped. This one's really easy to explain. Normally you would get 15 seconds of amplified. With this, it just goes up to 20 seconds when you become amplified, so that's a pretty good plus 5 seconds. All right, so I swapped over my Titan to the next one, and we have Thunderous Retort. So grants bonus arc super damage if cast while critically wounded or while amplified, lasts until the end of super activation. So the reason I swapped over to Titan is so we can use Thunder Crash, and as you see, base Thunder Crash is going to do 221,993. Now if we get amplified and cast it, you see that we're going to do a total of 288,590. That's going to be pretty much a 30% damage increase, which is very nice. And if you were curious, when you're critically wounded, it is still that 30% damage increase. So either of those will work. Obviously, being amplified is a lot easier, especially if you do pair it up with our previous artifact perk that we went over, amped up. All right, so we're moving on to the next column, and we have Strand Soldier. Your strand weapons gain unraveling rounds whenever you gain woven mail, while your strand subclass is equipped. Now, this one on paper seems really easy to understand. You get unraveling rounds when you get woven mail. What is really weird about this though is that you only get unraveling rounds the first time you get woven mail. For my testing, if you re-proc woven mail while you already have woven mail, it will not actually grant you unraveling rounds. So this means if you want to keep a permanent uptime, you will need to get rid of woven mail, then re-proc woven mail again to proc unraveling rounds again. It does not constantly chain like woven mail will do if you're picking up orbs of power with the fragment or you're playing Titan with their aspect. You have to get a completely new refresh of woven mail for this artifact perk to work. Now, once again, I'm not sure if this is intended or it is a bug, but it is very finicky, and I think it is going to make the perk not worth it in my opinion. I still think it's a good option to take if you are just playing a strand build, but overall it is not going to be the crazy permanent uptime thing that we all thought it was going to be. And then our next perk in this column is Overcharged Armory. Again, this is going to be somewhat similar to Deeper Origins. It's just going to give you overcharge to all of those origin traits, so if you want to take that, be sure to equip it. Now, our next perk is Protective Breach. So picking up a void breach grants you an overshield or refreshes your existing overshield. Now, this is another one that's pretty easy to understand, but the numbers for it is when you pick it up, you're going to get a 10-second void overshield. And this overshield is really tanky, and as it says, it can be refreshed. So every single time you pick up a void breach, it will constantly reset that timer and constantly heal that overshield to max. You can already imagine just how strong this will be paired with Devour, because not only you're going to get a max overshield, you're also going to be getting max health every time you get a kill. You'll pretty much be unkillable in my opinion. Now, another cool thing to note is that this can pair with Echo of Persistence, and that will actually make your overshield last 15 seconds instead of 10, but you're constantly refreshing it anyway. You don't really need to take this. Now, next up we have Countercharge, which is gain a stack of armor charge when you stun a champion. Honestly, this was super self-explanatory. If you stun a champion, you gain an armor charge. It's pretty powerful. There's probably nothing like too crazy about it, but imagine stunning a champion that you can proc a surge to get a damage buff. It could be pretty good. Now, next up we have Amped Up, which again should be electric armor, but this just says gain damage resistance while amplified. Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all, I don't have really a way I can test this super efficiently. So as you can see, I definitely take reduced damage, and obviously over time this will add up. But if you want to see me just getting shot by the Colossus, here you go, and you can kind of tell the difference of how much longer I'm surviving. It definitely does do some damage resistance, and if somebody knows the exact amount, be sure to drop a comment below. I will try to pin it. But overall, just being amplified, giving you damage resistance, is a very nice buff. It's kind of like a mini Woven Mail in a way. All right, so get into the last column. We have Conductive Cosmic Needle. Targets affected by strand debuffs take increased damage from arc and void abilities. Now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I spent so long testing this because I honestly couldn't believe the amount of damage it gave, but I will go on and state that I only tested this with Unravel. If you have any other tests with things like Sever, maybe it does a little bit more. But currently right now, it seems that this is only given a 5% damage increase to your abilities. Now, I was also doing this myself with Final Warning, applying Unraveling, and then popping Nova Warp, and it would only give a 5% damage increase. I guess the cool thing is that this does seem to stack with other debuffs. If you see here with Unravel alongside a weaken effect from my grenade, I actually do get around a 20% damage increase, whereas normally the weaken would just be 15%. So I guess that's kind of cool, but I guess just as a free perk, you know, it's 5% extra damage. I don't know if this is going to be the craziest thing, but I mean, hey, it's some extra damage, and who's going to complain about that? Now, our next one is Shock and Awe. So arc final blows while you're amplified summon a burst of lightning that damage and jolts targets. So on paper, this sounds really cool, and honestly in the game it still performs pretty well. Now, this isn't going to happen every single time you get a kill, and it does seem to be on an internal cooldown. As you see in the gameplay, I can get it to proc once, and it takes a little bit to finally proc the other one, and it doesn't do the craziest amount of damage. But what's really cool is that it does jolt enemies, so it kind of is just an extra added jolt on the battlefield no matter what you're killing, which is very, very nice. And it also is some extra damage, which is cool. But the really cool part is the fact that anything can proc this. It isn't just your arc weapons, your arc abilities, and specifically Arc Soul can also proc it, which makes Arc Soul a little bit more deadlier. So overall, I think this is a pretty good mod. It's nothing too crazy, but if you're running an arc build, there's literally no reason to not take this, because you're just going to be able to jolt more enemies and do a little extra damage. All right, we're almost at the end. Our next mod is Supernova. So picking up a Void Breach causes your next source of void damage to create a weakening pulse. So whenever you pick up a Void Breach, you're going to have 9 seconds of this buff, and any void damage you do from abilities, anything, it will actually proc this little Nova around the enemy. That Nova will then go on to apply a 15% weakening debuff, and it will also apply to the target that you initially hit that void damage with. So what's really cool, if you're using a void weapon, you can pick up a Void Breach, then use your void weapon to debuff any enemy that you need to debuff. And then also pairing that with the other seasonal mods like Protective Breach and Unto the Breach, you're going to be making Void Breaches everywhere and getting overshields while also being able to debuff enemies. This is actually a very good perk. Honestly, out of the ones I've tested so far, I think it might be one of the best, especially if you play into a Void build. Oh, and it also can be constantly refreshed. There seems to be no downtime. Just whenever you pick up a Void Breach up, you're good to go. Now, our next one is Squat Goals. Now, essentially, when you perform a finisher and you have your correct subclass equipped, you will apply this buff to your teammates. Now, obviously, I didn't have anyone to conduct experiments with this one, so that only had Unravel. This one is literally going to be impossible for me to do, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, I think this could be pretty strong. You can give all your teammates Devour, Woven Mail. Those are going to be the main benefits. Even Amplify the season's pretty good if they're running Amped Up or Electric Armor, essentially. You'll get the damage resistance as well. So I could see this potentially being good in GMs because you can just give everyone Devour, kill them, or that 60% damage reduction from Woven Mail. And then for our final mod, we have a returning mod, Lightning Strikes Twice. After throwing an arc grenade, gain increased grenade regen regen for a short time. Arc final blows extend the duration of this benefit. So essentially with this one, when you throw your grenade, you're going to get the text stat boost on your screen, which has a countdown. While this countdown's active, you're going to get around 150% increased grenade recharge rate, and then every time you get an arc kill, it will actually add 3 seconds to that timer. So overall, it just has a perk working in the background. This is a no-brainer to take if you are planning to an arc grenade build, because you will just get more uptime on your grenades, and it is very, very strong. But that is all the mods. In my opinion, the standouts are definitely going to be Supernova. Lightning strikes twice is always good. I think squad goals will actually be pretty good. Protective breach is very, very strong, and even things like amped up giving you a damage resistance and Thunderous Retort giving you that extra super damage. It could be some crazy combinations you can set up with that, and you best believe I will try to cover them all on this channel. But I think that is going to do it all for the mods this season. Be sure to let me know which one your favorite is. If I got something incorrect, be sure to drop a comment. Again, I will try to pin anything and let everyone know the correct information. But just as some quick first testing, now that I've got all of them unlocked, this is pretty much what all the numbers came out to. Some are really good, some are kind of but obviously as the season goes on, we'll see which one stands out the most. Anyways, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and have a great day. Peace.